Over the last month, I've been testing various combinations of hardware, codecs, source files, compression software, and settings, and written about them in a series of 4 articles. Here's a really good article to start with that gets you access to the entire series. Go to larrygorton.com/articles/speed-test compare video compression software. Notice all the hyphens. This is one where I compared 6 different video compression software running on a Mac Pro and an iMac and a variety of different settings. And we're going to talk about the results of this testing and other testing that we've done in today's webinar. First question is, which hardware should you use? If you're compressing video for the web, while a MacBook Pro was marginally faster, the iMac is the best choice for compressing web video. At best, a new Mac Pro was roughly half as fast as an iMac. When you're picking the iMac, what matters is CPU speed, GPU speed, and throughput, storing files on an internal SSD versus an external hard drive. And the source codec of your video influences compression speed. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Now, the MacBook Pro was probably 5 to 10% faster than the iMac, but it's also multiple times more expensive. So the best price performance is an iMac, 21 or 27-inch. Both the iMac and the MacBook Pro use hardware and GPU acceleration when compressing a video for the web using the H.264 codec. The new Mac Pro does not support hardware acceleration, which is a significant detriment when it comes to video compression. And as I mentioned, iMacs are less expensive than MacBook Pros. MacBook Pro is faster, slightly, but the iMac is much more affordable, especially if you're getting it for video compression. If you're transcoding from camera-native formats to ProRes 422, this does not require hardware acceleration, so I would expect a new Mac Pro to be faster than the iMac due to its architecture and GPU speed when we are transcoding for editing in, say, Final Cut Pro 10. When you're trying to decide which software, here's the results of what was fastest. If you're running a Mac Pro, Handbrake with a compression setting of VBR 1-pass H.264 is absolutely the fastest, followed by Compressor, variable bitrate single pass, followed by MPEG Streamclip, variable bitrate single pass, followed by Handbrake, variable bitrate 2-pass, and Adobe Media Encoder, VBR 1-pass. If we're on an iMac, Compressor VBR 1-pass is the fastest, followed by Handbrake, followed by Compressor with multiple instances turned on, followed by Compressor 2-pass, followed by Handbrake 2-pass. There's a big difference in how the two computers compress, and we'll talk more about that in just a second. Adobe Media Encoder, and this is a really huge note, Adobe Media Encoder has a new version coming out very soon, which I haven't tested yet because I only test the released versions of the software. I'm looking forward to seeing when the new version does arrive, whether it's any faster, which could change the results of these tests. MPEG Streamclip is fast, but it failed 3 out of 3 times when it was running in 2-pass mode. I could not reliably get it to compress when it was in 2-pass mode. For this reason, I'm having a hard time recommending Streamclip just on general principles. I also tested Telestream Episode and Sorensen Squeeze, and those were the 2 slowest at compressing video for the web. Now, there's lots of different video formats. There's lots of different reasons to compress from, say, an MXF file to a ProRes 422 or from H.264 AVC HD to ProRes because you want to transcode, convert the file from a camera-native format to an editing format. I didn't test any of that because that's going to be a whole different round of parameters and testing results. I was looking specifically at creating video for the web using the H.264 codec. Another question was asked about whether the X.264 codec would work. This is the open source version of H.264. We didn't have any software that ran the X.264 codec that was installed, and I wanted to stay with as much of the installed default settings as possible so we could get a better look at the architecture of the software without introducing the vagaries of a different codec. I would expect X.264 to be similar in speed to H.264. When you're running Adobe Media Encoder, the new Mac Pro was roughly 50% faster than the same Mac Pro running the latest version of Compressor, which is 4.2. Compressing to H.264 from a ProRes 422 source file was about twice as fast as compressing from XDCAM. Notice that when the source file format changed, compression speed changed. Source files in ProRes 4x4 compressed about as fast as ProRes 422HQ, and I would expect all ProRes versions to compress equally quickly, though it must be said that in most situations, ProRes 4x4 compressed, about 5% faster than ProRes 422HQ. When you're working with Apple Compressor, Compressor was roughly twice as fast running on an iMac compared to running on a new Mac Pro. There was no compression software or scenario when compressing video for the web where the Mac Pro was faster than the iMac. And the screen size of the iMac, 21-inch or 27-inch, did not make a difference. What did make a difference was CPU and GPU speed. Compressor has an option called multiple instances. Multiple instances allows multiple iterations of Apple Compressor to run at the same time. If you are running on a Mac Pro, turn multiple instances on. It compressed the same file between 11 and 47% faster. And when you're running multiple instances, XDCAM showed better results than ProRes. However, you want to leave multiple instances off when you're using an iMac or a MacBook Pro. Multiple instances compress the same file roughly 3 times slower when multiple instances are turned on. ProRes compressed faster than XDCAM by about 20%. Again, changing codecs of the source file has an influence on how fast you can compress. I only tested XDCAM, ProRes 4x4, and ProRes 422HQ, and of the three, XDCAM compressed more slowly than either version of ProRes, probably due to its GOP, its group of pictures structure. XDCAM was extremely slow when compressed using multiple instances, taking almost 10 times longer to compress than when multiple instances were not enabled. ProRes 4x4 compression speeds were always the fastest, except when using Telestream Episode and Adobe Media Encoder in 2-pass mode. So the general recommendation that I have is if you have the option, master your projects for either Adobe Media Encoder or Compressor, master using ProRes rather than other codecs. Transcoding not only saves time during the editing process, but it will save time and sometimes significant time during the compression process. Which settings should you use? If you're compressing videos for YouTube, Vimeo, or Facebook, all of which recompress your video into multiple different formats, always use VPR 1-pass. That's variable bitrate, 1-pass. The default bitrate that's set in the different compression software is between 10,000 and 16,000 kbits per second, and that default setting is fine. And there's no significant difference in image quality between a 10,000 kbps compression rate and 16,000, so just leave the default alone. And there is absolutely no advantage to 2-pass when your bit rates are set to 10K or above. For downloadable files, though, the situation is much more complex because of needing to keep the files small so they download quickly, and yet keep the quality high. And here, settings will vary by software. This has been an excerpt of a recent Power Up webinar looking at how to record great sound. And for the complete version of this online training, please visit our store at larryjordan.com/store and look for Webinar 162. By the way, if you need to stretch your training dollars, a membership to our video training library saves you money and time. You can access all of our videos for a low monthly price of only $19.99. That's more than 1,200 movies, hundreds of hours of training, all in depth and all up to date. Plus, members can attend any of our Power Up webinars for free. Our training covers Apple and Adobe software. We update it every week. And for more information, visit larryjordan.com/membership. And thanks.